The truth is, the Los Angeles Lakers didn't just make a signing, they drew a line in the sand, and every powerful figure in the league felt it. A new owner, stepping into one of the most scrutinized franchises in sports, didn't wait for patience, optics, or approval. Instead, a $180 million commitment to a 6'10" Pumas forward sent a message that reverberated far beyond Los Angeles. Because this move wasn't about a player alone, it was about control, credibility, and whether the Lakers' next era would begin with dominance or disaster. Make no mistake, ownership changes in the NBA are supposed to be quiet, calculated, and cautious. The Lakers have seen transitions before, moments where stability mattered more than spectacle. But this time, the public narrative shifted instantly. Reports indicate the new owner wanted to establish authority from day one, not through words but through money, leverage, and risk. The signing of a towering forward on a near-max deal became the clearest signal yet that this wasn't a ceremonial takeover. It was a power play, and it raised immediate questions about motive, timing, and consequence. There is no denying that the player at the center of this deal carries both promise and pressure in equal measure. At 6'10" versatile and still in his prime, he represents the modern NBA prototype. Size without stiffness, offense without hesitation, confidence without apology. Sources suggest the Lakers see him not just as a scorer or defender, but as a foundational piece capable of bridging eras. Yet, around the league, executives quietly wondered whether this contract reflected belief or desperation, especially given the franchise's recent instability. What complicates everything is the timing. The Lakers aren't rebuilding from the ground up, and they aren't fully contending without questions. That gray area is where franchises make their most danged, errant decisions. The new owner inherited a roster with expectations baked into every possession, and fan pressure that never sleeps. Committing $180 million before fully reshaping the front office or long-term vision wasn't just bold, it was irreversible. And once the ink dried, there was no hiding from what comes next. The public reaction was immediate and divided. Some fans saw ambition, a long-overdue signal that the Lakers would no longer operate cautiously. Others saw recklessness, pointing to past contracts that weighed the franchise down for years. Media panels debated whether this forward could truly shoulder the burden of Hollywood expectations or whether he'd become another expensive symbol of impatience. Every take circled the same question. Who really made this decision? Basketball minds, or a new owner eager to announce his arrival? Behind closed doors, league insiders began connecting dots that weren't yet visible to the public. This signing didn't exist in isolation. It hinted at future moves, potential trades, and a reshuffling of power within the organization itself. When ownership acts this decisively, it often means internal dynamics are shifting faster than anyone admits. And as whispers grew louder, one uncomfortable truth surfaced. This contract might only be the first domino. Because while the spotlight stayed on the player and the price tag, the real tension lived elsewhere. In the locker room, in the front office, in the unspoken question of whether this move aligns with the Lakers' true championship timeline. And as the league waits to see what follows, one thing is becoming impossible to ignore. This blockbuster may have solved one problem while quietly creating several more. The reality is, once the contract became public, the consequences inside the organization began unfolding almost immediately. Sources suggest this wasn't a unanimous basketball decision, and that's where the tension truly started to rise. Longtime voices within the Lakers' inner circle were suddenly forced to adjust to a new power structure, one where ownership wasn't easing into authority but asserting it. When money talks that loudly, even respected executives have to listen or step aside, and that quiet discomfort started to ripple through the franchise. What followed was a surge of rumors that refused to stay contained. League insiders began floating the idea that this signing wasn't just about adding talent, but about reshaping the hierarchy of the roster itself. A $180 million forward doesn't arrive to blend in. He arrives expecting touches, responsibility, and a central role. That reality placed immediate pressure on existing stars and role players, some of whom were already navigating fragile chemistry. Behind the scenes, questions surfaced about who would sacrifice, who would adapt, and who might soon be expendable. There is no denying that the coaching staff now finds itself in an uncomfortable position. Schemes can be drawn up, rotations can be adjusted, but expectations can't be coached away. This forward was brought in to produce, and produce quickly. Reports indicate the front office wants immediate returns, not developmental patience. That urgency creates a dangerous environment, where early struggles could spark scrutiny, not just of the player, but of the entire system designed to support him. Around the league, rival executives reacted with a mix of intrigue and skepticism. Some privately admitted admiration for the decisiveness, believing star-level bets are the only way to survive in today's NBA. Others questioned whether the Lakers had committed to a player before fully understanding how he fits alongside their existing core. The contract itself became a measuring stick, not just for performance, but for credibility. If this gamble falters, the new owner's reputation takes a hit far beyond one season. Meanwhile, the player at the center of it all remained publicly composed, saying the right things and projecting confidence. But those close to the situation suggest the weight is already there. Playing for the Lakers amplifies everything. Misses feel louder, mistakes feel heavier, and patience runs thin. Being labeled the face of a new ownership era only sharpens that pressure. Every game now carries an unspoken evaluation, and the margin for error is shrinking fast. As whispers of future trades grew louder, one unsettling possibility emerged. This signing may have quietly accelerated timelines across the roster. Contracts once considered stable are suddenly being re-examined. Players once thought untouchable are now part of speculative conversations. When ownership plants a flag this boldly, flexibility often becomes the first casualty. And if adjustments are needed, they won't come gently. Because beneath the surface, the biggest risk hasn't even revealed itself yet. The Lakers didn't just invest money, they invested belief, authority, and direction into one decision. If it works, the new owner looks visionary. If it doesn't, the fallout could force changes no one is prepared for. And as the season approaches, that looming uncertainty is beginning to tighten its grip. The truth is, this is the moment where belief collides with reality, and the Lakers are standing directly in the impact zone. As training camp approaches and expectations harden into demands, the weight of that $180 million contract begins to feel less theoretical and more personal. Every possession, every rotation decision, every late game moment now carries an unspoken verdict on the new owner's first defining move. And that pressure is beginning to seep into places no contract can protect. What's becoming increasingly clear is that this forward isn't just being evaluated on numbers. He's being judged on presence, leadership, and whether he can command a locker room that has seen stars come and go. Reports suggest teammates are watching closely, not out of resentment, but out of instinct. In Los Angeles, hierarchy forms quickly, And if authority isn't established early, doubt fills the vacuum. The risk isn't failure alone, it's hesitation, and that uncertainty can fracture even talented rosters. There is no denying the fear that quietly lingers beneath the optimism. If the fit isn't seamless, if early losses pile up, the narrative will turn fast. Media scrutiny will intensify, fan patience will thin, and the contract that once symbolized ambition could become a focal point for frustration. In that environment, even confidence can erode, and the margin between resilience and doubt becomes dangerously thin. At the same time, there's a different possibility unfolding just out of view. If this forward rises to the moment, if he embraces the spotlight and delivers when pressure peaks, the entire trajectory of the franchise shifts. The new owner's authority becomes validated, the locker room stabilizes, and the Lakers suddenly look less like a team searching for direction and more like one defining it. That outcome remains within reach, but it demands perfection under the harshest conditions in the league. What makes this moment so volatile is that the consequences extend far beyond one season. Future signings, trade leverage, and internal trust all hinge on how this decision ages. Ownership credibility isn't built slowly in Los Angeles, it's tested instantly. And as the spotlight tightens, every stakeholder, from executives to players, understands what's at stake if this gamble tilts the wrong way. Right now, the Lakers are suspended between promise and peril. The contract is signed, the message has been sent, and there's no quiet path forward. Only results will decide whether this was the foundation of a new era or the first crack in it. And until that answer reveals itself, the uncertainty surrounding this move will only continue to grow. The reality is, nothing about this situation is settled, no matter how definitive the numbers look on paper. Contracts don't guarantee cohesion, ownership doesn't guarantee vision, and early confidence doesn't guarantee long-term success. What appears to be a bold beginning could still evolve into something far more complicated, depending on how the pressure of Los Angeles reshapes everyone involved. Reports continue to shift. Internal dynamics remain fluid, and the league is watching closely for the next signal. Whether this 6-10 forward becomes the cornerstone of a new Lakers era or the symbol of a rushed decision is still undecided. For now, all that exists is expectation, scrutiny, and a franchise walking a narrow line between control and chaos. Nothing is official beyond the contract itself, and everything around it can still change.